Fellow FPL managers, guys, today we are finally deciding between Aston Villa players and Bournemouth players in double game week 25. Let's go. So guys, these last 2 weeks we've all been deciding whether we should get the Aston Villa players who double in game week 25 or we should get the Bournemouth players who don't double in game week 25 but they help us with our game week 29 teams, because in case you didn't know, there are 4 teams that blank in game week 29. And if you bring in Aston Villa players with your free transfers, it's going to be hard to field a good team in blank game week 29 without a free hit. But we already know, well, some of us know, people who are weirdly obsessed with the game like me know, it's best to save the free hit for blank game week 34. But if I want to do that, I have to sacrifice the next few game weeks with no Aston Villa players. So let's see what I did. I mean, as you can already tell by the title, I'm not going for the Aston Villa players, and I want to tell you why. First off, right, I want to bring in an Aston Villa defender if I'm going to play Aston Villa defenders in double game week 25, but there is not a single defender I'm confident in choosing. And that's not because the Aston Villa defence is bad, guys. The Aston Villa home defence is actually the second best defence in the league behind Arsenal's home defence. And Aston Villa play 3 home games in a row. That's really promising. I really like that. But all the fullbacks are a rotation risk and all the centre-backs are injured. So we could pick a centre-back that's guaranteed to play who's usually on the bench. But what happens when Conceded comes back fit in the second game of the double and the Aston Villa defender you just brought in is no longer going to play? It's going to be frustrating, and I don't think anyone can truly tell what's going to happen with it. So I'm deciding that's one reason I don't want to go for Aston Villa players, because it could go horribly wrong. I could be left with a defender on the bench, which I do not want. Next up, we've got Aston Villa attackers. Now, first off, Watkins is a really good option, depending on how match fit he is. That's another worry. Is Watkins even going to start the Ipswich game? Even if he does, I have a good front three, like a lot of other people do. I've got Isak, I've got Mateta, and I've got Gakpo. That's 3 forwards I simply refuse to sell. I like all of those guys too much. Despite how bad Newcastle's fixture run is, Isak is the best striker in the game and he can literally score against any team in the world, so he is not going anywhere, which means I'm not even considering Ollie Watkins when I go for these Aston Villa players. I have to look for the midfielders. And the best midfield option for Aston Villa at the moment has awful, and I mean awful, underlying data. He did just score a hat-trick in the Champions League, okay, so he can still bag points, but looking at the underlying data here, guys, it's awful. You may be thinking in the bottom left of the screen here that this is his underlying data per 90, but it's not. Guys, the expected goals and assists and the big chances you see down in the bottom, that's not per 90 stats. That is total absolute stats in the last 5 games in the Premier League. He has pretty much nothing. Fair enough, he's only played 4 of those games, but that doesn't matter. The stats are bad. I'm not confident in Rodgers scoring. At the same time, Aston Villa are really good at home and he could score in any of the next 3 games. But at the same time, he could blank in all of them. He's just so inconsistent. He's great value, but he's not a reliable player to choose. So let's switch off Rodgers now and go on to Kluivert. Guys, looking at the Kluivert data, he doesn't double, but the underlying data is so much better. And if you pay attention to the Bournemouth fixture run, guys, you don't have a double. But the next 6 games are insanely good. And their hardest game up until game week 35 is away to Brighton, which isn't even that tough of a game. So I really, really like these Bournemouth players long term, because like I said, they do really help for blank game week 29, which is crucial if you want to have a good chip strategy. There's also options like Dango Uatara and Semenyo, which are also very, very good. It's a really tough choice. You can't really tell who the winner is out of these 3 Bournemouth midfielders, but I am slightly leaning towards Kluivert purely because he has the most expected goal involvements in the last 4 games and he's on penalties. It just gives him the edge over the other guys just a little bit. That's why I like him a little more. But the other 2, mainly Dango Uatara, they're both really good options that you could go for. So guys, in my team, I've got 3 free transfers and 0.2 million in the bank. So let's go see what I did with my team. Now, I know I said I was ditching the Aston Villa players, which technically is still true, but I just had a Moyes masterclass in game week 24. Absolutely huge 90 plus 8 equaliser from Tarkowski, giving David Moyes a 22-pointer in just the first game week of my assistant manager chip. Now, I could reward Moyes with, keeping him in my team, but ultimately, I want to go for a double game week manager. And, If Emery can take points off Liverpool as well, we saw what happened with David Moyes, that could be a massive assistant manager haul. Like, imagine he beats Ipswich and draws to Liverpool. Kind of like what Moyes did when he beat Leicester and drew to Liverpool. That would be like another 20-pointer, which would make it 40 points in 2 game weeks from 1 chip. That would be ridiculous. I simply cannot ignore it, guys. And obviously, with the players, we're going all in on Bournemouth with the other 2 free transfers. We're going for Kluivert. I already told you why I think he's the best, although it is a very, tough decision to make. You could pick either of them. And I'm going with Kerkez. Huijsen is also another good option at 0.5 cheaper. But Kerkez has got 5 goal involvements this season. Decent amount of expected goal involvements. I think he's the slightly better option, but ultimately you can get Huijsen. He's a very good option too. Also, I have no idea if I'm saying Huijsen's name right. I do apologise if I've offended anyone. And we mentioned it earlier about the Newcastle fixture run, guys. It is abysmal. It's not good. Not until, after blank game week 29, which is when I can bring them back in for double game week 33, just thinking ahead here. But right now, they're just redundant in my team. They're not good. So I'm going to get rid of them because I would not play them at all in the next 4 game weeks. Transfer decisions, pretty simple. I've had quite a few free transfers saved up for a while. I'm getting rid of them all. It's kind of sad, but I think it's the best thing for me to do. So, with these changes made, let's go into my full 11, guys. Starting off, we obviously have Emery as the assistant manager. Very happy with this one. Very, very high hopes. He can do me nicely and get me a 22-pointer, just like Moyes did. With the goalkeeper and the defence, we got Sanchez. I'm not even going to talk about the guy. He is dead to me, an awful goalkeeper. I don't like him whatsoever. In defence, we welcome Kerkez. Like I said, guys, looking at that Bournemouth fixture run, I'm going to pull it up again. Look at the next 6 games. You wouldn't even be surprised if they kept 4 clean sheets in those next 6. That's how good the fixture run is. I'm not guaranteeing they're going to get 4 clean sheets, but guys, they really could. We also have Trent for his 2nd double game week in a row. Trent, home to Wolves, pretty good fixture. He did play in the Merseyside derby on Wednesday, which means he is fit to play both games in the double. He is not someone you want to sell. Then we got Gabriel playing away to Leicester. Gabriel's a boring one because everybody owns an Arsenal defender, and the people who don't own an Arsenal defender are cancelled out by the people who own 2 Arsenal defenders, so he doesn't really affect me that much, but the goal involvements are very much appreciated. Overall, I like this defence. I think it's got some good differentials. I think it's got Trent, powerful double game week, although his ownership is quite high. I still think his points can positively affect my rank, just enough to make his points, celebration worthy. You get players like Salah, his points you can't even celebrate because everybody's going to have Salah captain, but Trent, you can celebrate just about enough. And that brings us onto the midfield. Obviously, we've got Salah. Obviously, we've got a Salah captain. I mean, come on now, we're not stupid. He nearly broke the all-time highest score in a single game week. Only 3 points off, matching Wayne Rooney's 32 points that he got over 10 years ago. Cole Palmer is next to him, obviously. Another sort of boring one because so many people have him, but rightfully so. He's a good player. Even though he's been on bad form, you just know he's going to pick it right back up real soon. And if he doesn't, he can, make way, give me some more money so I can bring in Haaland. We have the other new signing, Kluivert here. I'm hoping Kluivert doesn't miss a game due to the birth of his child. If you guys are on FPL Twitter, you've probably seen a lot about this. I personally don't think it's too much of a worry, but, if his kid decides to come out the womb on match day, maybe Kluivert is going to miss it. Maybe he wants to be at the birth of his child, I mean, you'd think he would. So let's just hope, she doesn't give birth on match day. Hopefully Kluivert can stay getting me minutes in FPL. If not, then I've definitely wasted a transfer. Finally, we have Ismaila Sarr. Guys, I still have loads of faith in Ismaila Sarr. Despite the amount of hate he's getting, despite how many people call him a useless asset, he's getting the underlying data, and he's cheap, and he's got a great fixture run. Let's pull up the Palace fixture run. Really good up until they blank in game week 29. I mean, that away to Fulham fixture is not great, but Crystal Palace have been on good form recently. Maybe they can score a goal or 2 in that game. We finish off the Liverpool triple up with Cody Gakpo, who is definitely the best 3rd Liverpool player. Reliable minutes. Everybody said he was a minutes risk. I said he wasn't, and I was right. He's been doing okay recently. I mean, only like 7 points in a double game week is not a lot, but he's doing bits, He's on good form. I'm happy with him. Then we have Mateta, who has been a hero recently. The guy's a legend. Really saved me last game week along with David Moyes because I didn't own Chris Wood. And despite owning Moyes and Mateta, I still got a small red arrow. Hopefully we can reverse it this game week because my team is looking pretty strong despite not having a single Aston Villa player. We finish off the team with my favourite FPL player this season in Isak. There is no doubt in my mind this guy is my favourite player that doesn't play for Manchester United. Being a Man United fan, I have to prioritise my love for the Manchester United players, even though they all frustrate me. Apart from those guys, Isak, I brought him in really early when his ownership was so low way earlier on in the season, and he's done me nothing but good ever since. So, you know, I've got a soft spot for him. Even though his fixture run is so tough, I just can't seem to let him go, and I'm happy with him being in my team. In fact, I'm hoping people do sell him because I think he can get points in this Man City game. Anyway, guys, if you did make it this far, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.